Hey guys, I'm back with another video. Today we'll be doing what if Issei was in Otsutsuki? I mean, what if Issei was, shit. What if Issei was Ashura and Indra? Yeah. I fucked up there, didn't I? Well, who gives a fuck? I don't. So, I decided to change his character. I saw a picture of Itachi with his hair pulled back in a bun, and I was like, yo, that shit is crispy as fuck. But he doesn't have like the two lines Itachi has on his face. He doesn't have those. His face is pretty normal after that. Yeah, so new thumbnail, by the way, because I didn't feel like making anyone. After this, I actually have to go and do a Jujutsu Kaisen thumbnail, because guess what? I fucking want to. So no one's gonna question me, nigga. I'm just being sarcastic, but guys, I just hope you have a good day. Hope you're having a good day. To be pretty honest with you, I'm having a fairly decent, I'm not saying it's good, I'm saying it's fucking decent day. So yeah, and I now realize from going back and watching the part 2, some stuff got cut out of the original recording. So something went wrong with the audio, and some stuff got cut out. Because if you realized at the end, I was saying something, but it just cut out. And I'm pretty glad. I'm so glad that it didn't cut out at the speech part, because that would have been really fucking bad. But it cut out in general, so I'm just gonna have to make a new one. Blah blah blah. I'm just gonna fall off from there, because I covered his powers and everything, where he's gonna live, but I guess it didn't go true, so I have to actually try now. So let's get into the video. So I believe I left off at him going into the dimension. And after going into the dimension, he sees a hut and a house. A house on a hut. Whatever you want to say. He realizes his body is getting heavy, and it's really hard to keep his eyelids open. He goes into the hut and nearly collapses, but he catches himself back, and he looks towards what in there. There was a kimono with six paths, tomo surrounded the neck, a sword, 2 scrolls, a lot of other stuff. Now, I just remembered I did not prepare to bring back for the picture. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna look for the picture. I'm not gonna cut it out, because y'all got to deserve to see my bloopers. So we'll look for it together, right? Which one is the closest? I think that's good. Well, that was a waste of time. Oh my god, this is taking so damn long. Guys, just skip to a time point. I might put it in the comments. because this is just taking way too long. I don't feel like cutting it out of the video. Jesus of Lords, what the fuck is going on? Why you have to be such a bitch? Like, come on, just hurry up. Oh my Jesus Christ, just hurry up and find the damn thing, bitch. Impulse. Son of a bitch, ass niggas. Why is it take? I have so much shit in my gallery. It's just like this, bro. Why are you doing it like this, bro? What the fuck? It has probably been 3 minutes, bro. Nice. Oh, there it is. Finally. Anyways. So he has this kimono here, like this here. He has this right here. And he has earth, fire, wind, lightning, earth, and water. Then he has the mana summoning, but he also has the toad summoning. I'm gonna get into those particular because I'm gonna change them. Then my original decide on what I was gonna do with that, but I'll change them. Alright. He has the second form of the curse mark in general. His light grass cutter sword, which I'll get in a little bit later, and his true seeking arms, but he will not use them all the time. He will have the sage. So when he does activate Sage of Six Paths Eyes, he will get the orbs, but he's not gonna have it right now, or not really anytime soon right now, because who's gonna really challenge him to the point where he needs to activate Sage of Six Paths? This is one of the reasons why Naruto is mega overpowered. Literally, if this touches you and you don't have Sage of Six Paths Senjutsu, you are literally comically fucked, bro. And yanks me, and who in like the High School DxD series really has Sage of Six Paths or something or anything comparable, right? I'm gonna give it to Grimoires because, well, yeah, but that's not really gonna be a challenge, really. But I'm comment down below who else you want me to like make enable for the Truth Seeker Orbs to literally explode any part of their body. So yeah, let's get back into what I was doing before. So that took a while. Anyways, he would collapse and he would see these things and he would collapse on the floor. He would wake up about 3 seconds later. No, I mean 3 minutes later, and he would decide to grab the kimono and he would tie a black rope around him, also putting on some pants and some shinobi shoes with bandages wrapped around his ankle. Now, when he thinks how he is gonna wear this at school, because he doesn't want to like always transfer out, it morphs into his school clothes, and he's pretty excited because of this. But he then sees the grass cutter and realizes that is not really gonna change, so he decides to, when he gets back home, to buy a kendo bag. Now remembering what he could use, the creation of all things technique, to literally give him an infinite amount of money once he has some chakra. So he's pretty good now, and he decides, and this is really substantial for him because he can leave his parents and he doesn't need to rely on them anymore. So it's really wins for him. And he sees 2 summoning contracts, but they have dragon toad summoning and dragon snake summoning, and there's a one in the left corner which has crow summoning. Naruto picks up all of these, and knowing what these are, bites his thumb and puts his blood on all 3 of them. Then a snake, a toad, and a crow come, but the snake and toad look different than we all formerly know them. The toad had black scales on it and had 6 eyes. And each and one of those eyes had the 6 paths eyes. But it are sage 6 paths sage mode eyes. But don't get me wrong, it doesn't have 6 paths sage mode because of the connection between him and the frog or the toad, the dragon toad. It has 6 paths eyes. And in the other eye, in the snakes, he sees the snake with Tomo Regan, like Tomo, 3 Tomos in it, 6 eyes with 3 Tomos with black scales. And if you look hard enough, you would see some horns are poking out of its head. Now, to see the crow was pretty obvious. It was just a crow, but he knew exactly what these crows did because his memories, getting memories from both Hashira, Madara, Naruto, and Sasuke, he would realize what this was. So he would be pretty happy to be just particularly clear, and he would grab all of them, place them in a bag, and he would open back a portal to his reality. And he would decide to do something. He knows he shouldn't go back home because if he goes back home, they're gonna force him to eat something, not knowing that he's technically not able to get any poisoning into his body. And yeah, he doesn't know about this because even Sasuke didn't know about that, because Orochimaru, when he absorbed Orochimaru, he didn't know, he just got ample chakra and that's all he thought he had. But what he didn't know, he had immunity to all toxins, gases, and even poisons. So even if he thinks if he drank it or ate it or whatever, he would die, which would be simply off brand, right? And he starts to think of a plan, but he decides to go to a coffee shop before this, and he's gonna think of what he's gonna do later. So he goes to the coffee shop and orders himself some coffee with the waiter serving him the coffee. Now, look at the picture here with Itachi, but remember, look at him with blue tips at the end of his hair, and that's what the girl saw. And she glanced a flame blush at him with Issei picking up on this. Now guys, from here, I haven't done this in a while, but from here, I'm gonna please ask you to kindly click off of this video if you're under the age of 12 or up, because I know even if you're 12, you're still gonna watch this because y'all stubborn as fuck, right? I know that, right? But to keep my own safety and my channel's safety in check, I'm gonna need you to keep that shit over there, right? I'm gonna need you to keep that shit over there so I can keep my shit over here, right? You understand? And if you're if you know my channel, like you know my channel, you know what's gotta go down. I didn't give him a sister yet, but you know what's about to go down, okay? Tell me if I should give him a sister. Like, I know that's kind of sus and bad. Who gives a fuck about sus and bad? We all don't give a fuck. Let's be honest here. We all remember Nezuko. I can remember getting so much shit for that, and I did give a fuck. Like in the first video of that, everyone was like, "Yo, isn't that his sister, dog?" And I was like, I clearly just told you that they're not even siblings, bro. I just told you, like, I just told you they're not even fucking siblings, but you don't listen, nigga. Anyways, so he looks at her and he smiles softly, and she blushes again, and she takes out a piece of paper and she writes something down on it. That she then hands it to Issei, and Issei reads it. And what was on the paper exactly was her address and the time to be there. And Issei postured himself back into the chair and decided, what the heck? What could I lose now? And he's exactly right. What could he lose? Not a shit. So he goes and he just decides what he wants to do, and he goes and at the end of the day, at the end of her shift exactly, Issa is at her house and she grabs his hand and pulls him into the apartment. Now I haven't done this in a while, so I'm pretty rusty, but I'm gonna try my best to calm down myself. Okay? Don't take that out of order though, because I know some of y'all be sussing here. Anyways. The maid would, or the waitress would start to take off Issei's shirt. Issei would let her take off her shirt, and then he would bring his hand to the back of her neck and pull her in close to kiss her. He starts stepping forward with her stepping back. They hit the bed and Issei pushes her onto the bed and kisses down to her cheek, then to her neck. Then he stops at her skirt. He then starts to unbutton her skirt, and he kind of kneels because they're like on the edge of the bed, and he starts what's that called again? Licking her pussy. Like that's all I could really put it down as. But anyways, he starts doing that for at least a few minutes, and he looks up and he starts to take off his pants. Then he takes off his boxers and he starts to fuck the shit out of her. Like, I mean, full back and swing, bruh. He starts to beat that thing up. No, sorry. He comes forward. He didn't come yet. He turns her over, and so basically doggy style, and he pulls her hand. So her hand is not touching the bed, it's not grabbing the bed, he pulls it back, and he's just fucking her up. I mean, just pulling that shit back, right? And he's going on and on, right? Then he switches up and grabs her hair and start like going down on her. And then Issei pulls out, and then the girl comes in front of him, and Issei sits on the edge of the bed, and she starts gagging on that dick. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you, she starts gagging on that shit, right? And she's going all in and just perfection, bro. And after a while, that Issei comes. It took an hour for him to come, and he was ready to go back again. So they did it a few more times until she was fully knocked out. Like, she was done. She was asleep. So in this period of time, Issei made a shadow clone, and the shadow clone knew what to do, and it went outside. Then him creating another shadow clone, and that went outside too. Now Deku went over and hugged her waist, still not learning this girl's name, and he kisses her neck, waking her up slightly. And Deku says if she's ready for another round, and she kinda smirks, obviously being ready for another round. But unlike the other one, I'm not gonna cover this, so y'all do what you do, right? Now the morning comes and she goes to work, and they promise to never speak of this again, because one, she doesn't know what came over her, and two, she kind of feels embarrassed at how Deku like handled her. Like, it was normally she'll be the one to handle the man, but he handled her like she was something on the next door. And this for being Issei's first time, he was pretty good at it. Watching all that porn came in good for something. Anyways, he got up and he went to a certain place where he saw a house, a big mansion, a big white mansion to be specific, and he was gladly. Now, his shadow clones went to make use the creational things technique to make billions of dollars for him and send it to the bank and making himself a bank account. Then the other one went to buy property, and Issei went to use wood style earth release and creation of all things technique to make another house, to make a house, a mansion, a house, whatever you want to call it, for him. Then he went over and just started to. This was on the time span where he was fucking the shit out of her. So, yeah, Issei decided to go over home, like go over to his parents' house, not to commentate with them really, to really just get some of the stuff that he needed. He didn't really care if they took most of his stuff and gave it to his brother, because guess what? He doesn't give a fuck about his parents nor his brother. So he enters the house, but they don't recognize him, and Issei says, "I don't really care, but I just came for my stuff to go." And Issei's stepdad, or whatever you want to call him, tries to hold his shoulder, but Issei grabs his hand, or his wrist in particular, and starts squeezing on it and telling him, "Don't act like you're my father, or don't act like you're strong. Just get away from me." And at first, they didn't know who this was, but just by hearing those words, they knew exactly it was. It was Issei. And Issei didn't look happy. Or really didn't look like he used to. They guessed he dyed his hair fully black and his end of his hair tips blue, but they could be further from the truth. But I guess that's what the assumption would be, because like his hair was brown with brown hair with black and blue streaks in his hair, so it was dominantly brown though, which was the color of his mother's hair. Now Issei just went off into the bedroom and started to gather some stuff, like his phone charger, his old SIM cards, his porno books that he decides he's gonna like throw the fuck away. Well, no, he's gonna leave them there. He doesn't really care about them. He takes his MC card for his computer, takes most of the stuff out of his computer, and destroy all of his accounts on his computer in particular, and send them over to his account. Finds out all the passwords for his shit. Takes the money box under his bed. Not really he needed it, but the stuff like that. Took his passport, his birth certificate, and a lot of other shit. Right? And then a car pulled out outside, and it rolled down the window, which at first you could see a Issei, or the new Issei, but it then slowly changed into a butler. And Issei drives in the car, putting his stuff in the back with his parents watching, being surprised at this whole entire reveal. I'm not really catching on to it yet, but Issei didn't care enough to explain, nor to explain at all. So he went off and just started to do his thing. Now, he would be walking in a park one day, and he would bump into a girl with blonde hair, and I think it was blue eyes. She had on a nun outfit, and Issei dropped his coffee, or he went to the same coffee place, but this time they didn't fuck. So Issei looked at her, stretched out his hand, and said he's sorry for that. He didn't mean to, and she took his hand and said it was okay. And Issei smiled, and he and her started to talk, since he really felt bad for pushing her over. Not really. She was just cute, and that's what he was thinking on. But anyways, they started to talk, and she started to talk about how she was in the church and blah blah blah. And Issei went to the church and was like, "Yo, what the fuck?" And at first he thought he couldn't go in, but he could. Like, technically, the Sage Six Path is a god, and some people do worship him, and he is the sons of the god. So he's kind of that nigga. So what can I say, right? What can I really say about it? Issei doesn't do anything after that. And this is where Issei parts words with her, but not before giving her his number, and she giving him his. And he tells her to call him anytime she wants. and he goes off to the um, to his school because he was on his way to school, and he has on his school uniform, but it's actually his fighting battle uniform, and he has his grass cutter in a bag. Why I say bag like that? Anyways, in a bag, right? And he entered the school, and at first people didn't recognize him, or really didn't know who the fuck it was. But when Issei started to talk, like in all motives, his voice is technically still the same, but it's just way deeper. And they realized it. They put two and two together and realized it was Issei. Now, after this class is done, they started to go over to Issei and said, "Is that man? That's you? What the fuck? Yo, you look good. Blah blah blah." And all he could really see was fake. That's all he could really said, or in his mind, that yo, all of that is fucking fake. But again, he doesn't really care, and he just answered the questions, being very uninterested. And this is where Issei's old friends, which in particular surprised him. It not surprised him because he wanted to see them. It surprised him because before they never wanted to talk to him again. Like, they were friends, they were tight, but as his brother came into the picture, they got quiet. But Issei doesn't really care because he's never gonna really forgive them. Not really gonna give a fuck. Now, I've been debating something in my head, but I'll decide this part of it, right? Eventually, Issei will get together with Rise. Rias Gremory. Rias. And I know, like, bro, why would he do that, bro? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Issei would never like her like that. And I will tell you, yeah, he wouldn't really like her like that. But you have to remember, at the end of the series, this is a harem anime, and she's one of the main leads. And I can't deny she's kind of bad, but that's not the main reason, right? I've been reading the manga, and I really like his and her kid, so I really like his whole aesthetic right now. So I think it's the end of the light novel, not the end of the manga yet. Light novel, right? I think it's a light novel, but anyways, I like his personality from now on, so I'm gonna so yeah, they're gonna get together, but don't think it's anytime soon. It's probably just gonna be like in the last chapter, like actually where they make it official in the anime, where they actually finally make it official that they're going out. So around there, and a lot of things would happen between then and now, which I will set up for now. And yeah, so Issei would not really care and they would try to talk to him, but yeah, like always, he just looked uninterested, and he just tolerated them, which they realized they knew Issei. No matter how much you want to put it, they knew how Issei was, and when he was uninterested and bored, he would made it obviously so that he didn't want to talk to you. I don't really give a fuck about you, but he would still answer because out of the kind of his heart. And I realized this is exactly what Issei is doing. He's answering out of the kind of the heart, not because he wants to. And they know exactly why he would do this. And it kind of makes them angry, but at the same time, they know they can't be angry because they deserve it in a full force. This is where Issei, this is where Kiba comes for Issei, and Issei gets up and puts on his candle bag, and grabs his bag and swings it over his back, and goes to the clubhouse or the club area, whatever you like to say, right? And this is where they come in, and this is where Rias says, "I called for Issei, not the new kid." And Issei says, "It's me." And Issei's brother in particular was surprised at him. And his parents did tell him about Issei, how he dressed and all of this. But he didn't believe it. But now he sees Issei right in front of him. He realizes, yo, he's changed. And Issei says, "What the fuck is going on here? Why did you call me here? I don't remember it being a meeting today." And they said they always just wanted to talk about the games today. Now remember, in the last video I told you Issei had a friend, and I wasn't lying, he did have a friend. And Issei asked with who, and they said I can't remember the familiar. Is it even the familiar? The shit, I can't remember. Basically, a dollar store Issei. That's who he's friends with. Dollar store Issei. I'm gonna skip this until I remember more about it, and I'll just in the next video I'll talk about it later. That's gonna mess up the whole timeline, but I also just don't give a fuck. So after the games, Issei, because it would relatively go to canon, but Issei carrying everybody and everyone being shocked to see Issei's true power. So yeah, but this is where Issei would be walking down the street, actually not using his car because he didn't feel like it, and he would get. This is where he was going out on like what's called it now, recruitment or like summonings, whatever you want to call it. And this is where he would enter a house, then you would see blood on the floor. But unlike the actual Issei, he wouldn't panic because remember, Issei is just that nigga. He's the reincarnation of Ashura and Indra, Sasuke and Naruto, Hashirama and Madara. You really think he's gonna give a fuck about blood? Please. But he would be on alert though. So he would keep walking, but he would deactivate. No, it was not really big genjutsu. He would let his battle clothes back on. You already know it. He would get his battle clothes back on, and he would make his kendo bike disappear, but only leaving the light grass cutter, and it would stuck in between the ropes. Issei would pull it out of the sheath, and it would glow a bright white color. Now let's get into the light grass cutter. I never really explained the abilities. Now the light grass cutter is basically like the light grass cutter I used in my What If Naruto Was Madara's Grandson. I used it in there. A lot of people don't know about that, but yeah. Light grass cutter can destroy any undead enemy, can negate immortality or any type of slow aging process or increased healing. Any attack or person with the aura of ill intent will bow before this sword. And it has another ability. It has something called light sealing, and this is where it can technically seal anything in the person's in the sword. But let me explain that firsthand. But there does need to be requirements for someone to be sealed to the sword. First, they have to slice the person or get the energy of the blade inside a person's body. Then they have to actually know what the but actually have to connect a link using his chakra and the other person's chakra and linking them together. But this also comes at a risk, because if the person actually has more chakra and just ability than you're kind of fucked. Like you will get absorbed into the sword instead of him, and he would become the new wielder. Now another thing with the light grass cutter, it kind of only can be used by Otsutsuki. And why do I say that? It's because it's kind of right, because Issei is just overpowered at this point. And it doesn't react in a way with the curse mark because it's on its user's body. But if a person that had a curse mark, they would get burnt by this like pretty badly. Like they would get fucked. So that's really all the ups and downs of the sword. So I didn't explain it properly in the last video, so I just gave a quiet mention to it. So you would go in and he would find the priest and the girl he met earlier, Asia. He would kick down the door and he would blur in front of the priest, and the priest would try to shoot him, but he would dodge and punch him in the face. He would then pull him down to the floor, standing on his chest and looking down at him. And then he would say, "You filthy devil," and Issei would says, "I am not really a devil, if you could realize. Yes, I have devil power, but I'm not no devil anymore." And this is where you clasp his hand and start saying, "God Almighty, I pray, blah blah blah." And this is where the guy would see, well, fuck, he's not getting hurt by this. He's praying to God, or whatever God there is. Technically, he's praying to himself, but anyways, or to his actual father. He's playing to say the sixth pass, but anyways. Issei would stop praying or whatever, and he would look down at him with his both Renegon and Mangekyo Sharingan boring into his eyes and saying, and then the curse mark would start spreading all over his body, making his skin turn gray, his hair become a bluish color, and his hair get undone from the bun, and two hand-like wings come out of his back. But unlike normal, they were black hand-like wings, because I told you he kept the demon power, but he erased the downfalls of the being a devil, right? So his wings, he can actually move faster with his wings, because he has two sets of wings basically. But I digress. And he says, I'm gonna make it fair. I'm gonna make it a fair fight. And he ties his hands behind his back and pushes his sword up to his mouth and gestures for him to start. The priest would laugh and say, "You're underestimating me badly," and he would shoot towards him again. Also take a note, I think he had Excalibur light. I can't remember what Excalibur he had, but he had Excalibur in general, right? And Issei would just slice the bullet in half and start running towards him, and he would run towards him. They would keep clashing over and over again until Issei jumps back, and with no hand signs, makes a fireball jutsu. Also, obviously, you put down the sword into the ground because he can't breathe properly, can't use fireball properly with a sword in his mouth. Which also doesn't make any sense because Kakashi can use a fireball jutsu with his mask still on. Yeah, I don't really give a fuck. So then wood vines would start coming out of the ground, tying him down to the ground, making a fireball, and the house would explode. Issei would look back at him, ready to use Amaterasu to kill him off finally, but he was gone. He would say "coward" under his breath, and he would look towards Asuya, then using the 6 pops to heal him, and Asuya would thank him, and yeah. This is where a few days would pass, and Issei was in the club room until he got a notification or something just felt wrong to him, and then a crow came into his bed and told him that Asuya was captured and most likely dead at this point. But this is where I end off this video, and you can tell me what next High School DxD, what if you want me to do 18 only with today. I know it wasn't like up to my other standards like when I used to make them, but I remember this was just with a random woman, and I didn't feel like doing Akane and Konako yet. I'm probably gonna do that in the third part, and I'm definitely gonna make a third part. This is probably most likely the end of the video. So see ya.